old or used to be, or we should have, but we can't. We all awarded the YPI meeting for January. Yeah. We'll do our introductions for auditing person.
Yes, Aaron from Brands and Gramelia.
No other guest.
Tom White is here, although he's staff. I'm sure none of you have seen the man who holds the purse strings,
That's okay.
but here he is in the flesh.
Good year.
Okay. The man, don't look at the man behind the curtain.
Well, in that case, let's move to our second item, 2024 audit presentation.
All right, thank you. I know I missed the last meeting, so I was having the first meeting at that time. But
Congratulations.
So,
Yeah, anybody since then?
not really.
And
Not really. So I've been up for a few hours before you. So, my name is Aaron Hahn, I'm the audit partner, in charge of this, audit. Our process is, you I think dialed it down for me for this audit, because you really does have work, you can just have a person. We really got to understand the organization, how it works, but it is a unique organization, from our state, so we can see what applies to us and see our, operating as we do. Document the internal controls. I know we did from the previous past one recommendation, which Mark is taking, care of, so there are no internal control or compliance recommendations in this audit. And it's smooth sailing ever since. I know we after this one's done, start working on probably planning for the 2025 audit, because we're gonna look high you get audit the same year, the year following. So, but first one, start off and say thank you to Tom, Mark, and Amy for all their hard work and helping me with this. Been very responsive. That really runs itself through the quicker turning on the two audits done and get on track for the next one. I have two reports in front of you. The first one is the auditor communications. This is really a qualitative summary related to the audit. In our first paragraph, we refer to the fact that, we're performing this audit under generally accepted auditing standards, as well as government auditing standards. You're not a government, but you are a quasi government. So you still fall under the purview of those governmental auditing standards, which you'll see there's an extra report to put in related to that. Under qualitative aspects of accounting policies, management is responsible for the selection and use of appropriate accounting policies. These are disclosed in note 2 to the financial statements. No new accounting policies were adopted for any application of existing policies that were not changed during 2024. We noted no transactions undertaken to be into by CDYCI during the year, which is the lack of authoritative guidance or services, and all significant transactions were recommended in the proper period. You do cutoff testing to make sure that the revenue and expense for the year are properly reflected in the year that they apply to. Most transactions within financial statements are cash-based, but there are a need for some estimates. We do have one out there, just that we do have evaluate your collectability, make sure that it was zero at year end. We do a subsequent receipt test that we saw 100% of their 99% of the deficit they are. So do not feel there's a need for an allowance to bring up in accounts receivable at that time. Certain financial statement disclosures are particularly sensitive because of their significance to financial statement users. We do make note of the sensitive disclosure in note 4 about related party transactions. Related party transactions are always considered more sensitive than others. We go to page 2. Corrected and uncorrected misstatements. There were 2 journal entries we made. One is always going to be made. It's a reclass for administrative that's made during an audit. But not do it if it wasn't for an audit. So, and then there was one to report AR for capital purchases voucher to Old County in 2025. You know, we didn't even discover it, but because we'd already had trial balance, we disclosed it. Tom came to us and said, "Hey, I discovered this and I cleaned up the process and working to make the voucher out. That has all been taken care of. But that is what those 2 journal entries are. The net effect of that journal entry is around 273,000 that we paid. That journey owners actually the police paid on.
And that was my fault for not sharing the invoice with Tom for furniture, fixtures, and equipment. I will throw myself under the bus.
I will say, you know, that's not a lot of concern. One entry, really one true entry is not anything that's too worrisome on our part. You know, if we're coming in making 10 entries and significantly changing the books, that have a little more concern, but really, you know, I don't think there's a lot of risk. As part of our audit procedures, we request certain representation from management, or including a management letter, just basically saying that they gave us all information that they know and what they told us weekly is correct. That letter was signed with the date of January 12th, which is the date of your audit report. We go to page 3 of that last, under other matters. Because you're in a quasi government, you're required to have a management discussion analysis. And we make note of the fact that that is not an audited report. We do limited procedures to, you know, look at it for reasonableness and make sure that it ties to the information we have, but we do not extend our audit opinion to that. So before I go to the financial statements, any questions on anything with the auditor communications? No? All right. With our financial statements, our audit opinion is on pages 1 through 3. The opinion is right at the top. You have a unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion you can receive, which means we believe these financial statements are an accurate representation of the organization. So kudos for that. You got the best opinion there was. Again, we make note of the fact that this government auditing standards issued by the Comptroller General of the United States also do apply. And we are required to be independent of CDYCI and meet our other ethical responsibilities in relation to our profession. The last page of that opinion, I won't go through too much of the legal jargon that's all in there, but on page 3, again, your MD&A is on pages 4 through 7. That is presented as required, but we do not extend our audit opinion to that. And then the last paragraph there, other reporting required by government auditing standards, we do issue a government auditing report under internal control, which is the last few pages of the financial statements, which we'll briefly touch on as well. If we go to page 4 through 7, again, that is your MD&A. Because governmental financial statements are typically not comparative, I actually do think it is a good way to look at what's changed from the prior year. We work with management to develop this management discussion analysis. On page 4 under financial highlights, you'll see that your net position, so your quote unquote profit, was around $7,500 for the current year. Obviously,
you're aiming to be more of a break-even organization. So we would expect it to be there. But there's not a huge loss, which is always great as we evaluate for ongoing concerns. Operating revenues did increase by approximately 2.8 million. This increase was primarily the result of the operation of specialized secure detention side. Because you're mainly a pass-through, your occupancy-related expenses increased by around 2.8 million as well, as those are correlated. If we go to page 5, you'll see a condensed balance sheet comparison from 2024 through 2023. You'll see a current assets of about 7.5 million. The main drivers of that is cash is up 150,000 and your AR is up 1 million. Obviously, as revenue increases, how you voucher, if your revenue's up, I would expect your AR to be up as well. Current liabilities, your AP was up about 1.2 billion, again, correlated to the AR. So that is a relationship we could expect to see. We go to page 6, you'll see total operating revenue was just over 13 million increases, and your total expenses were around 13.5 billion. Again, not to sound like a broken record, but increases in the revenue mainly a result of increased specialized secure detention services and correlated expenses. Page 7. I'm sure these are all discussion items you've had, but looking ahead, these are changes throughout that could affect CDYCI in the future. Obviously, the continued implementation of Raise the Age is a big one, as disclosed in that first paragraph. In the third paragraph, we talk about the capital improvement expansion project to bring the facility into compliance and how CDYCI serves as a pay agent for that as well. The fourth paragraph, the South Colony Central School District no longer is going to provide the educational services beyond the 23-24 school year. So CDYCI will have to absorb some of the operational costs of that educational program once a new school program is identified operator. And then the last, CDYCI and Together for You contracted with BOCES to provide those educational services, but since BOCES was unsuccessful in hiring teachers, they decided not to continue their contract, and Together for You has absorbed the education programs and will onboard teachers throughout 2025. Page 8 is your balance sheet. You'll see that you have cash of around 400,000. Your AR is just over 7 million, as previously discussed. You do have a limited use asset, which is the reserve account of around 24 million. That gets us to total assets of around 7.5 million. With only one current liability, which is accounts payable at just over 7 million. We have the unrestricted debt position to get back down to that 7.5 million as well. Page 9 shows your operating revenues and expenses. As mentioned, operating revenues were 13.4 million. Operating expenses were 11.8 million. Administrative expenses were 1.6 million, which gives us total operating income of just over 6,000. When we add the interest income, we get back 7,500 quote unquote profit per year. Page 10 is your cash flows. You'll see that cash is actually an increased balance of around 150,000 from the previous year, mainly as a result of collecting on those AR balances. Page 11 starts your notes to the financial statements. Note 1 is the nature of operations, which describes the entity and core operations of the organization. Note 2, summary significant common policies, also begins on page 11 and goes all the way to page 13. The significant common policies note tells the reader how transactions are recognized within the financial statements, as well as gives pertinent background information. On page 12, As mentioned previously, under due from other governments, we did evaluate if there's a need for bad debt in the current year, and there was none. That is great. Net position, there are 3 classifications of government financial statements that you can have net position under. The first would be capital assets, if you had any physical assets, which you do not, so there's no capital fund balance. Restricted net position includes resources with constraints given by the grantor. You have no restricted net assets at December 31st, 2024. Therefore, your entire debt position is unrestricted as of 12/31/24. Page 13, I just want to make note of the fact that you are technically a non-for-profit under the 501(c)(3). However, you operate as a quasi-government and therefore exempt from filing income tax returns. Page 14, due to counties, the amounts due to participating counties, if there was any paybacks, we would disclose that as a liability. There were none at year end. Related party transactions, we just make note of the fact that CDYCI provides the administrative services contracts with CDYCI for those and disclose that. The total fees paid from CDYCI to CDRC in 2024 was $102,000. The operating agreement, we talk about the agreement with Berkshire Farm Center to provide those services and oversee the detention center. And for 2024, Berkshire received $4.7 million for secure detention services, just over $7 million for specialized secure detention services, and $1.5 million in administrative fees. We talked about your concentration and credit risk. Outside of the FDICI limit of $250,000, you also have a collateralization agreement with a third-party commercial bank. So all of your cash is collateralized at your end, which reduces risk. If we go to pages 16 through 17, this is your governmental audit report. There are 2 types of disclosures we can make here. A material weakness is something so significant that we believe the financial statements cannot be accurately. A misstatement could be detected without being caught by staff if there was a material weakness. Significant deficiency is anything that we believe merits the board's attention. Happy to say we have neither of those disclosures in the current year, so very clean audit. I ran through a lot of technical jargon there. Is there any questions at this time? Overall, very good audit report. Just to summarize, best audit opinion you can have, and most importantly, no material findings to disclose.
Hearing no questions, we're gonna need I believe a motion and a second to accept the audit. Thank Aaron for very comprehensive. Get a motion in a second.
Make a motion. Second.
All in favor of accepting the audit? That is aye. Opposed? Accept. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks, Aaron.
All right, thank you guys very much. Have a
Thank
great
you.
rest of your day. We'll see you at some point this year.
All right.
So you do think there's anything you know?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Moving to the next item on the agenda, as far as the vote, the approval of the December 17th meeting minutes. Motion second.
You guys.
Can you get a motion in a second on the approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting the minutes, signify by saying aye. Opposed? That's your approval. Takes us to the financial statements through December 31st, 2025. That's your memo 2602.
Yeah, these are.
Motion in a second on that.
Make that motion.
Okay. Discussion.
These are preliminary year-end financials. I don't believe we have not booked Q4 revenues because we have not been able to set the rates yet. So these will be updated once we're able to actually book the Q4 revenues. But on the whole, expenses for SD were 90% to budget, and on SSD were 83% to budget. Which is all good news. As Aaron mentioned, our goal at the end of the year is to arrive at zero, excepting for interest income. And then I expect that we'll be in that position again in 25.
Questions or comments? All in favor of accepting the financial report, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Report is accepted. Next item is resolution 01-2026, authorizing the chief administrator to secure a line of credit through memo 2603. And I have a motion in a second, and then we'll have discussion.
Make that motion.
Take a second.
Second.
Discussion. Mark.
So this is unusual, but on the whole, probably a good idea for us to secure a line of credit for unexpected expenses. In this circumstance, we have a timing issue potentially. We have that invoice that we sent to Albany County in 2025 for furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Between that and some other expenses, we've pretty much drained our capital reserve in terms of cash. We do have a couple significant expenses that are due or will be coming due shortly. And again, it's a timing issue. One is for the replacement of the security screens, which is about $35,000 worth of work. And the other expense was for the replacement of the boilers, which is about $102,000 worth of work. We may not receive the bill for the boilers until they actually finish the work, which is dependent on the weather. So if in fact we don't get the bill until the springtime, this is probably not going to be an issue. But regardless, I would like to have that safety net in case we need to pay some bills and we don't have any cash. Any questions?
Question.
What was that line of credit for, you know?
The line of credit is not to exceed 200,000.
And the security screens are the item that we talked about back in December.
Right.
Remind me, is that reimbursable from the contractor at all?
Not reimbursable from the contractor, unfortunately, because all of the regulatory agencies approved the installation of that specific spec item.
There you go. Any other questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Starting resolution is approved. There's nothing else for us to vote on here, so we'll move to revise county CDYCI on with this agreement.
Yeah, not a lot of update here. We did get, it back from Schenectady, but I'm still following up with the other counties to determine where that contract is, or the agreement is in their process. So I've emailed the county attorneys last week, and I'll continue to follow up with them without being too much of a pest. But having that agreement in place will ameliorate a current issue in that since we're sort of between contracts, the issue of reserved beds in the facility is sort of unenforceable at this point. Because the existing contract contemplates reserved beds of a 24-bed facility. We are now operating a 39-bed facility, and the new omnibus agreement specifies the reserved beds that the counties will have. Right now, it's becoming an issue since pretty much, except for one kid from Westchester, all of the beds are being used by home counties. And for a while there, the facility was completely full because we had 5 or 6 beds offline. Albany County was taking the lion's share of those beds, much to the chagrin of some of our other counties who also needed beds. But having the new agreement in place, if Albany County goes over their allocation, I'll have some backing to say, well, you got to move a kid to Woodfield, you have to move a kid to another facility so that one of the counties who is not up to their reserve bed total is able to place a kid locally in our facility. So hopefully we'll have this wrapped up by the next time we meet.
Questions? So 2605 is bedrooms and physical plant updates.
Yes, all the screens have been replaced, all the CM walls have been fixed, and all the bedrooms are back online. Hallelujah. One boiler, has been installed, like I mentioned before, but we're waiting to install the second boiler until the weather gets warm. The general contractor's subcontractor was on site last week or 2 weeks ago, meeting with, Brian McCabe, facility manager, to talk about what they're going to do to fix the paint in the facility. So we're hoping to get that work scheduled in the springtime. We shared with you pictures at the last meeting of just how awful the paint looks, especially in corridor areas and doorways and in the bathroom. So, good news on that, though. They've pledged to fix what they will get efficient in.
We have a letter dated related to the education program, that number 2606.
Yes, so we received, and this is a good demonstration of just how fast the wheels of government turn. Email on back on July 28th, from State Ed, myself and Brian Parcheski are together for youth, notifying us that a school district filed a complaint against the secure detention facility for being deficient in providing special education. And that was the case. We're in between hiring teachers. We tried with BOCES, that did not work. And what's more, we were under an active construction project. As you all know, the Together for Youth uses an online platform to sort of bridge the gap between current time and when we have physical teachers in the building. But there's also the issue of the expectations of the state education department, and that every secure detention facility must provide all the things that a whole school district can provide, which may not, on the whole, be reasonable, or at least there needs to be some flexibility in how secure detention offices or secure detention operators provide it. That being the case, it generated a whole conversation between OCFS and the state education department as it relates to this particular issue. So fast forward to last week, January 7th, state education department wrote OCFS basically saying that you're in charge. And so OCFS then issued the attached performance improvement plan, which builds on an existing performance improvement plan related to the deficiencies that we all know about in the education thing. Now, since I put this together, it seems like you have completed the,
We are submitting it today.
okay.
Yes. That'll allow me to give the school update.
So a tremendous example of one state agency correctly interpreting that another state agency is actually in charge.
Work, here we go.
As long as someone's in charge. Anything in particular in here we should be aware of?
Well, do you want to just go over some of the
Sure.
things in your PIP?
So the performance improvement plan in 3 areas, needing to have staff, needing to provide special education services, and we need to provide services to youth who had already completed their high school diploma or passed compulsory age. So for the hiring of staff, as you know, it's been one more difficult thing. So we currently have 2 full-time teachers, as well as a PE teacher and vocational specialist working with our kids. So we are doing a couple different things. One, we're working with Spectrum, and we have started working with them on developing ads for teachers. And we're going to target geofence certain areas, like we're going to go to BOCES and the charter schools and some of the other area schools that do what we do, like St. Catherine's, LaSalle, and North Rivers. So
And poach.
Yeah.
well, it's okay. You offer a great opportunity. But they're using the same thing with us, so we figure we're gonna get in that game. We are also working with Amerigus, their recruiting firm. So we are starting to talk to them. They came to us, they said that they recruit specifically non-traditional educational professionals. So we are starting to develop a plan with them on how we're going to find your staff. And we're also working with Frontline Education. They try to find applicants around. They're not necessarily a recruiting firm, but they kind of point us in the right directions. where we can find people. So we are working with this and, we don't have to, it's not an expensive work with them. So we're working with all of those things. We also meet, every week, so we meet with our recruiting team to talk about where we are, what strategy we're going to use, and to, see how we can go forward. And so we do 2 more teachers. In the second area for special education, this is something that I don't think we ever follow the rules 100%, but we need to really follow the rules now. And so we're actually moving in a very good direction. We're working with an education consultant in Bacchus, as many know, to operate the program as the assistant superintendent, in South County that he retired. So we're working very closely with him on exploring ways that we can support our kids. One of those is working with Capital District Beginnings, which provide special education services and also contract out for additional services such as speech, occupational therapy, physical therapy. So we are working with them to develop a contract. They had said that we would have a contract in place by March 1st, but hopefully sooner, so that they can start providing services. Our educational administrator, our principal, is a special education teacher. So she is working closely to reach out to schools when it comes in to talk about their IEP and their 504 plan, to get any updates that we can get from that school and work with the school to update it as needed, and then to do whatever we can provide for that youth currently until we get that contract in place. Along with Tim Backus, we are also working with South County School District, because we are too small to establish a committee on special education. So we are going to partner with them to work with their committee on special education, with the goal of the end of February to have an agreement in place with South County to be our committee on special education. So with Capital District in the beginning and that CSE committee, we will have fulfilled requirement for special education.
Evaluation.
Yeah. On the last is about providing services to youth who are above compulsory age or have a diploma. We are still required to provide them 5.5 hours of service. We're using a lot of positive behavior support. Some of these kids don't want to participate in the program. They say they don't have to, but I know Ray's team has developed a great system of positive reinforcement and to get kids to the program. We do have a vocational education teacher who's working with these youth. We also have that for some of the kids who are having graduated but above compulsory age. We have a GED program now. We have 2 youth currently enrolled in that program, so they can get their GED. We did receive from the state VR headsets for workforce development. So we do work with that. We do some vocational programs and career readiness things. So we bring groups in to utilize that. I don't know, some of you may remember our battle to get tablets in the facility. It was not successful. However, we have been looking at certain educational tablets that they use down in Woodfield Security Detention Facility. And so we are exploring that right now. In Bacchus believes that looking at the Title I funding and the way it's structured, that we will have some funding to get some of these to enhance our technical and career readiness skills. So we submitted our Title I funding request and we're just waiting to the results of that. Once we know where we're at, and we can go forward. Any questions?
Well, thanks for all the work that you're doing on the education program. Come a long way. Continue to go further. I think that also takes care of number 9, the education program update.
Yep.
You're right. Which would take us to 10, the facility use.
Facility use, as I mentioned, lion's share of the beds have been home counties for the past year. And indeed, for the year, the lion's share of the beds have been used for home counties. In 2025, we were operating at 39 beds-ish for most of the year. These numbers will go up for 2026 when we're operating at 39 beds for the entire year. But you can see the ratios. Albany County, the most bed days used, followed by Schenectady, then Rensselaer, and Saratoga.
with the caveat that there are no dumb questions, even though this is dumb. What's the difference between an SD and an SSD?
Sure, they're the different facility types. So specialized, secure detention is the facility type that existed before Raise the Age. Specialized secure detention is the new facility type that was created by Raise the Age. It's essentially one facility, so the facility type is determined by the adjudication of the youth. Which can change while they are in the facility.
Gotcha. Helpful. I understand, but still. For understanding. Facility operation agency. reports.
Yeah, so our morning program is running really well, as we spoke about the education. We still have a high rate of attendance, from residents in the school, which is always good. Last week, we had one behavior issue, which we went several months without having any issues, so that's big and secure detention. Our evening program is more centered around the clinical groups and the medical groups that we provide, which is going extremely well. We've also increased the activities, more gym time for the kids, and hopefully when it starts getting nice out, they go outside. And I mentioned also we increased our visitation, which is on Wednesday. Now, the parents have not showed up, but we still think it's a good option to have for the residents, and so we want to keep that intact. But overall, I think the facility is running really well. We're meeting the needs of the kids. We're providing this month, we're gonna have a lot of in-house training, covering like one-on-one security checks, suicide. We're gonna go over that policy just to kind of have a refresher for the staff when we get these challenging kids that come in. So looking forward to that.
Pretty unique facility. It's got to be a school district, a mental health clinic, doctor's office.
Mental health.
Under the wing of a metropolitan planning organization.
Any
Any other business?
I just wanted to give folks around the table and online a heads up that, is it Onondaga Monroe that's going to be coming online? The new secure detention beds, Monroe County, that they will have 59 beds. So hopefully that'll take some stress off the system writ large, and that'll translate into some better ratios and some more space in our facility. But we shall see.
So. Next meeting will be in April. If I can have a motion in a second, we can adjourn.
So second.
In favor? Return.
Here.
Get a donut.
Amy, this is Stephanie Thomas.
Thank you.
I really do.
I,
snapped
you know,
right
I
in.
knew you were here last.
But I
Friday,
feel like you also
But
get.
until I really started, I texted him, I'm like,
understandable.
Maybe that's what.
Good. I don't think so.
Bye.
Did SDOC?
Bye, you too.
Or just?
I'm gonna be subtle and just like text him, like, who's
Are
she?
we waiting for SDOC?
No, it's fine, I do it all the time.
No,
I.
the only thing I got is Damien, that was it. but-
You're more.
Okay, so let's go with that.
That's Laura's signature.
We asked how the meeting went.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Was the minutes?
Actually, Amy, can you scan this? Cause I gotta email it to.
Yeah. I'll scan it. I'll leave it in your box.
Yeah, good looking too.
Yep.
Go Giants.
Yeah.
Man, it'll wait a whole half a year.
No, she's not, but I was thinking, oh.
We're on the same boat. We should do it. The bills, in the matter of shut down.
The entire?
It's
Well, the good thing is that's.
Yeah, they was good.
How, is that some old bills?
I wish the Bills could have hired Bill as referee.
Really?
What are you gonna do?
It's from now on 2025, but that is still really.
Good deal.
Hi, baby.
Yeah.
Well, that was my big, and your big concern with the boiler issue.
Yeah.
The specter of spending millions of dollars to rehab a facility and then you shut down because you don't have boilers.
Yeah, I think 11%, so
I know.
one bill there, so we're working.
I think it's the most- Yeah.
All right, take it easy, gentlemen.
Good, yeah.
Because